If you own a home in the Carolinas, are thinking about buying one, or you're trying to sell one right now, we need you to pay very close attention to what we're about to show you. Because the housing market across North Carolina and South Carolina is not just cooling off. In specific cities, it is falling apart. And the data is worse than anything we've seen since 2008. South Carolina just posted the #1 worst foreclosure rate of any state in America. Homeowners are losing their properties faster here than anywhere else in the country. But foreclosures are only one piece of this. We're tracking 10 cities across both Carolinas right now where the damage is hitting homeowners, buyers, and sellers from every direction at once. In one of these cities, 70% of all listings have had their prices slashed, and homes are sitting on the market for over 4 months with barely a single showing. In another, a catastrophic natural disaster sent mortgage delinquencies spiking faster than in any other metro area in the entire country. All 384 of them, and the recovery is nowhere in sight. And the very last city on this list is one that almost nobody is talking about, where days on market exploded by 126% in a single year. That one is going to shock you. Everything we're about to walk through comes from Redfin, Atom Data Solutions, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Canopy MLS, a local market reports we've been tracking for months. If you're making a real estate decision anywhere in the Carolinas in 2026, this might be the most important video you watch this year. Hit that like button so more people see this, and let's get into it. Number 10, Fayetteville, North Carolina. We're starting in a city that most housing channels completely ignore, and that is exactly why it is dangerous. Fayetteville is a military town built around Fort Liberty. The economy revolves around that base, and for decades, it provided a floor under the housing market. Families rotate in, they buy a home, they get reassigned to a new base, they sell or rent it out. But right now, that cycle is broken. Atom Data Solutions ranked Fayetteville as the 5th worst metro in the entire country for foreclosure filings in January 2026. In the first half of 2025, it posted the 6th worst foreclosure rate nationally among metros with over 200,000 people. IT job postings in the area dropped 42% year over year, the steepest decline of any North Carolina metro. And according to Redfin, 68% of Fayetteville homebuyers are searching to move out of the city. That is the highest out-migration intent in the state. When the people who live somewhere are actively trying to leave, that tells you everything about where demand is heading. The surface numbers still look okay. Median price hit about $298,000, up just under 3%. But don't let that fool you. The foreclosure pipeline underneath is massive. And when those distressed properties hit the market over the next 6 to 12 months, they're going to pull values down hard. If you're stationed at Fort Liberty and your agent is telling you to buy, run your own numbers first. And if you think a military town with rising foreclosures sounds bad, wait until you see what happened when a natural disaster hit a market that was already overbuilt. Number 9, Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville is one of the most beautiful cities in the Southeast. The Blue Ridge Mountains, the craft breweries, the arts district. People fall in love with this place the moment they visit. But right now, Asheville holds a distinction that no city wants. Cotality flagged this metro as having the single largest year-over-year increase in mortgage delinquency rates out of all 384 metro areas in the United States. Not top 10, not top 5, number 1. That spike was driven by Hurricane Helene's aftermath, and the damage is still reverberating through every layer of this market. Home prices are in clear decline. The median sale price sits at $459,500, down over 7% year over year per Houseo. Henderson County saw average prices plunge 12%. Over 80% of all Asheville listings have had their price reduced, the highest rate in North Carolina. Only about 8.5% of homes sell above asking. The rental market might be even worse. Asheville's apartment vacancy rate hit 10.7%, 5th highest nationally. Its multifamily supply-to-stock ratio of 7.65% is the highest in the entire country, nearly 4 times the national median. Rents are down over 3%. By some estimates, renting is now $776 per month cheaper than buying in Asheville. I know people love Asheville, but if you're buying here right now, you're catching a falling knife with a hurricane tied to its handle. The recovery is going to take years, not months. Now, if a natural disaster can do that to a mountain city, imagine what's happening in the state capital where the problem is not a hurricane. It's thousands of homeowners quietly drowning in debt. Number 8, Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia surprises people on this list because the state capital usually flies under the radar. Steady government jobs, the University of South Carolina, a modest cost of living, but the data tells a different story. Adam Data Solutions ranked Columbia as the second worst metro in the entire country for foreclosure filings in 2025, at 1 filing per every 165 homes. Let that sink in. The second worst in all of America. By February 2026, it was still ranking 5th worst nationally. That's not a one-month blip. That is a sustained pattern of financial distress. Here's what makes Columbia tricky. The headline metrics look relatively healthy. Median around $252,500, about 50 days on market. Sales volume actually up 7.6%. So if you just glance at the surface, you would think everything is fine. But that foreclosure pipeline tells you enormous distress is lurking underneath. SC Realtors CEO Nick Kremidis told South Carolina Public Radio that inflation and higher rates are squeezing homeowners who bought at market peaks. When those distressed properties work through the legal process and hit the MLS, they're going to suppress values across entire neighborhoods. The one bright spot compared to the coastal cities coming later on this list is insurance. Columbia homeowners pay about $1,968 a year, less than half of what coastal owners are dealing with. But watch those foreclosure numbers very closely before you commit to buying here. If this data is opening your eyes, take a second and hit that subscribe button. We track these markets every single week so you don't have to. Because the next city on this list, the one that everyone has been calling a sure bet, and the numbers say otherwise. Number 7, Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville has been one of the darlings of the southeastern housing market for years. BMW, Michelin, the gorgeous downtown along the Reedy River, the entire I-85 corridor bringing in new residents. I get why people love it. Real estate agents have been selling this city hard, but the early 2026 numbers are telling a very different story than the one most buyers are hearing. Redfin's February 2026 data shows the city median at $463,000, down 6.6% year over year. Inventory across the metro surged to over 5,400 units in March, up more than 28%. Days on market hit 92 days, up 48% from just a year ago. But here is the stat that really tells you where the power is shifted. The share of homes selling above asking price collapsed from 33% to just 7.5%. That is the most dramatic swing of any South Carolina metro. A year ago, 1 in 3 buyers was paying over asking. Now, it's fewer than 1 in 13. On the employment side, Milliken is closing its Cedar Hill plant with 126 layoffs. Saddle Creek Logistics cut 130 jobs. Spartanburg County posted the 12th highest foreclosure rate nationally. And rents statewide are essentially back to 2024 levels per South Carolina Public Radio, erasing 2 full years of rental growth. The manufacturing base gives Greenville more stability than most cities on this list, but if you're paying these prices with inventory surging like this, you better make sure you're getting a real deal and not paying last year's prices in this year's market. Now, everything we've looked at so far has been inland. Let's head to the coast, where the problems get a whole lot more expensive. Number 6, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Hilton Head is luxury. Retirement communities, second homes, pristine golf courses. You drive over the bridge onto the island and it feels like a different world. But right now, homes here are sitting more than twice as long as they did a year ago. January 2026 days on market hit 146 days, up nearly 112% year over year. February was barely better at 134 days, up 116%. February showed a median of $485,000, down over 19% year over year, though January actually showed an 11% gain. That kind of whiplash tells you this is not a stable market. It's a market searching for a floor. Sale-to-list ratios sitting at 96.5% confirm that sellers are accepting meaningful discounts just to get deals done. And then there is insurance. Beaufort County is one of 5 South Carolina coastal counties holding over 91% of all national flood insurance program policies in the state. Flood insurance in high-risk zones runs $1,500 to $4,500 per year on top of regular homeowners coverage. Here is something that shocked us. The number of condo associations insured through South Carolina's insurer of last resort dropped from 70 to just 7 by the end of 2025. That means most coastal condos either found extremely expensive private coverage or are facing increasingly uninsurable conditions. If you are eyeing Hilton Head for retirement, understand that the mortgage payment is only the beginning of what this place is going to cost you. And speaking of costs catching up to expectations, let us talk about the city that was supposed to be bulletproof. Number 5, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. This is one that stings the most for us to cover because Raleigh was supposed to be the future. Apple building a campus, Google expanding. The Research Triangle was the poster child for where to move in America. You drive through the suburbs of Wake County and you see the tech campuses, the new mixed-use developments, the energy. The housing market got priced to match that promise. Now, the bill is coming due. Zillow shows home values at about $439,000, down 2.3%. Active listings in Wake County hit over 3,500 in January, up nearly 21%. Days on market reached 69 days on Redfin, up from 49 a year ago, a 41% increase. Raleigh dropped from 72nd to 95th in Realtor.com's national forecast. Durham fell from 13th to 41st. But here is what elevates this from a normal correction into something you need to watch very carefully. The unemployment picture is shifting underneath the housing market. RTI International slashed over 736 jobs in 2025, including 314 in North Carolina after federal funding cuts wiped out over 80 projects. Lenovo eliminated 230 positions at Morrisville. Duke University implemented $229 million in cuts, with roughly 600 staff taking separation. IT job postings are down over 14% statewide. The apartment market is flooding too. Rents are down 2.2% year over year to a median of $1,361, a 13% decline from the August 2022 peak. Over 52% of apartment listings now offer concessions just to fill units. Falling rents, rising inventory, weakening jobs. That combination makes a housing market far more fragile than the national headlines about the Research Triangle suggest. And if the Triangle is struggling with those headwinds, Charlotte is dealing with the same problems at an even bigger scale. Number 4, Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte's fall has been swift and very public. You drive into Uptown, the skyline is impressive, cranes everywhere. It looks like a city on the rise, but Realtor.com's 2026 housing forecast dropped the Queen City from 14th to 70th nationally, a 56-spot freefall in a single year. Zillow shows average home values at about $387,000, down 2.3%. Over 53% of all Charlotte metro listings had price reductions in late 2025. Closed sales declined nearly 14% year over year in January. Days on market exploded to 88 days on Redfin, up from 54 a year ago, a 63% increase. The Charlotte region had nearly 10,000 homes sitting on the market at the end of January. Here is where Charlotte's problem becomes structural and not just cyclical. The apartment market is arguably the most oversupplied in the entire Southeast. Over 16,700 units were delivered in 2024, more than double the pre-pandemic average. Another roughly 16,200 came online in 2025. Vacancy hit 8.2%, with rents negative for 2 consecutive years. And there are still 27,000 units under construction, with 92,000 more in planning. Office vacancy has hit an unprecedented 26%. When rental prices fall, it removes the incentive for people to buy. Why would you take on a mortgage at 6.5% when you can rent for less than you could last year? Charlotte is a great city with a strong banking sector, but this oversupply problem is real, and it's not resolving anytime soon. Negotiate hard if you are buying here. Now we are entering the top 3, and this is where the data gets truly alarming. We're heading to the coast where an insurance crisis is rewriting the rules of homeownership. Number 3, Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston might be the most beautiful city on this entire list. The cobblestone streets, the pastel row houses, the food scene. You walk through the historic district and you understand why people dream of living here. But behind that charm is a market being slowly strangled by a force that no amount of curb appeal can overcome: insurance. Charleston homeowners pay an average of $3,270 per year in premiums, up 22% from 2021 to 2024. The combined ratio for South Carolina homeowners insurance hit 144% at the end of 2024, meaning insurers paid out $1.44 for every single dollar they collected. That's not sustainable. Premiums are going higher. First Street Foundation estimates 71% of Charleston properties face severe flood risk over 30 years. Add flood insurance at $2,000 to $4,500 per year, and you're looking at $5,000 to nearly $8,000 annually just in insurance before you make a single mortgage payment. The market is feeling it. Price reductions surged from 6% to over 20% of listings. Homes selling over asking dropped from 17% to under 9%. Active listings hit nearly 4,500, more than double 2021 levels. Boeing went through 3 rounds of layoffs totaling 360 positions at North Charleston. The Metro posted the 17th highest foreclosure rate nationally in 2025. We cannot stress this enough. If you're buying in Charleston, get the insurance quote before you fall in love with the house. Get the quote first, because what Charleston is dealing with is moderate compared to what is happening about 90 miles up the coast. Number 2, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Remember that city we told you about at the very beginning of this video where 70% of listings have had their prices slashed and homes sit for over 4 months? This is it. Welcome to Myrtle Beach, and this is the worst performing housing market in either Carolina right now. It's not even close. Local realtor Blake Sloan's March 2026 market report lays it out in plain language. Condo prices have fallen 11 to nearly 13% year over year. He specifically noted that any decline above 10% is typically considered a market crash. Active listings surged 38% to over 3,300 homes. Months of supply hit 7.2 for single family and 8.6 for condos. Days on market stretched to 124 days, the longest since August 2020. And across their entire listing periods, condos are averaging just 1.9 showings. Less than 2 people even walking through the door. The insurance situation is catastrophic. Myrtle Beach homeowners pay $4,772 per year, the highest in all of South Carolina. FEMA's 2025 flood map updates expanded mandatory flood zones, tacking on another $1,500 to $4,500 annually. One local realtor reported personal escrow payments jumping $580 per month from insurance and tax increases alone. The short-term rental market that so many condo investors depended on is collapsing. Rents are down over 6% in 2 years. Vacancy hit 9.2%. Owners cannot cover their mortgages. Association fees have doubled in some complexes. And now they're racing to sell into a market where nobody is buying. Myrtle Beach looks cheap compared to other coastal cities. Don't let that fool you. The carrying costs are astronomical, and the asset values are still falling. If you're thinking about buying a vacation rental here, run the numbers 3 times, then run them again. And then ask yourself why the current owner is so desperate to sell. Now, the number 1 city on this list is the one we planted at the very beginning of this video. The one we said almost nobody is talking about. Here it is. Number 1. Wilmington, North Carolina. If you've been watching this entire video waiting for this reveal, here it is. Wilmington, North Carolina just posted the single most dramatic days on market increase in either Carolina, and the national housing media has completely missed it. Redfin's January 2026 data shows days on market at 77 days, up from 34 just a year ago. That is a 126% increase in how long it takes to sell a home here. Homes sold declined nearly 10%. Local MLS data shows supply reaching 5.4 months. approaching balanced market territory after years as one of the tightest sellers markets on the entire North Carolina coast. You walk through downtown Wilmington near the Riverwalk, and the charm is undeniable. But the listings surrounding this city tell a different story. Pender County on Wilmington's northern fringe saw active listings surge roughly 44% year over year, largely driven by new builder phases all hitting the market at the same time. Builders rushed into this corridor during the boom, and now that inventory is sitting. This market flipped from seller-dominated to buyer-leaning in the span of about 12 months. And because everyone has been focused on Charlotte and Raleigh and Myrtle Beach, almost nobody noticed. If you're looking at coastal North Carolina, Wilmington deserves the exact same level of scrutiny you would give any city on this list. Don't assume it's safe just because nobody's talking about it. We just covered 10 cities across both Carolinas, and the pattern is undeniable. Myrtle Beach and Asheville are in outright decline, with prices falling, inventory flooding, and insurance or disaster costs spiraling out of control. Charlotte and Raleigh are cooling fast with massive apartment oversupply and job market headwinds that most people are not paying attention to. And the coastal markets from Charleston to Hilton Head to Wilmington all face the same structural threat, an insurance crisis that is fundamentally repricing what it actually costs to own property near the water. South Carolina led the entire nation in foreclosures last quarter. North Carolina posted the third largest increase in mortgage delinquencies. Builders are cutting prices with 37% offering reductions and 64% offering incentives. Mortgage applications just dropped 3 consecutive weeks as rates spiked back to 6.57%. Now, we're not telling you the Carolinas are crashing. People are still moving there. But if you're buying in any of these 10 markets right now, you need to understand what you're walking into. Pull the data yourself. Check the insurance quotes before the listing price. And if the numbers don't work, renting is not a failure. It's the smartest strategy you can deploy while this market finds its floor. If this video helped you make a smarter decision or opened your eyes to what is happening in your market, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see it. Make sure you are subscribed because we're tracking these markets every single week, and the next update is going to go even deeper. Drop a comment below and tell us, are you seeing price cuts in your neighborhood? We want to hear your story. And we'll see you in the next one.